Hi, welcome to a quick tutorial video on follow-up action rules, feature introduced in Surefoot's Auto version 4.2. In this version of the app and onwards, we have the concept of a follow-up action rule. In the bot configuration section, you'll find what we had up until this point, which was a follow-up action defined with your filter configuration. Going forward, this will be now the default follow-up action. So essentially, if the card 1 doesn't match any of the follow-up action rules you specify, this default action will happen. So this is the exact same behavior prior to this version if you would have never defined any follow-up action rule. So going into the actual follow-up action rule, let's take a quick look at them. Let me clear out these ones really fast. See, as it says here, this reminds you that the default follow-up action is defined in the bot configuration settings, but then goes on to say that this list lets you specify specific actions taken on cards that match all the conditions you specify in a rule. And also a reminder that these rules are executed in the order that they appear in the list. So it's a priority-based system. So let's look at the filter here. We're looking for Germans from Chelsea. So let's see, we know that both Kai Havertz and Rudiger can show up around this price range. So let's define some rules for them. So let's do for Havertz, if we snipe a Havertz, we'll go ahead and list that for 4K. So let's set that up. We'll add another rule for Rudiger. I'm not exactly sure how the umlaut will work, so I'm actually going to do just a subset of that. This will work. It's based on matching, so that should work just fine. I don't need to specify any positions or the ratings here, although that'd be another way to define them. And then actually let's just go on and set up this one. So for Rudiger, we'll list that for 3600. Okay, great. So that we have those two rules set up. But one thing that we could also do is separate cards that have a Shadow or a Hunter chem style, because we know those are going to be worth more. So we can go ahead and, instead of selling them on, we'll just add those to the transfer list so we can deal with those later. And the problem here is that because this is a priority order list, this rule will likely never get hit. Because Rudiger and Havertz are the players that can show up in the filter, they're bound to get hit by one of these, so this rule wouldn't apply. So to fix that, you can simply press these buttons to move it up, to move this rule up through the list. So now you can see it's the first in the list, so we'll go ahead and save that. So now the way this works, the way these rules are defined, is that if we see any card with a Shadow or a Hunter, we'll send it to the transfer list. Going forward, if we see Havertz, we list for 4K, and if we see Rudiger, we'll list for 3600. So that's what I would expect for happen. And if we see any other cards that come through, like a Werner perhaps, we have that defined just to get sent to the transfer list, and we'll deal with that separately. So those are the rules defined. I'm going to run the bot for a bit. I'll probably cut away and do that, just win some cards, and then we'll go ahead and see how these rules worked. So great. Okay, so it's 1,000 searches later, and we have some cards. Let's just quickly look at the rules one more time. For our follow-up rules, if we see a Shadow or a Hunter, we're just going to send it to the transfer list. If we saw a Havertz, we want to list it for 4K, and if we saw Rudiger, which I'm pretty sure this is going to work, I'll find out with you, we'd sell it for 3600. And if it didn't match anything, it would fall back to the default of sending to the transfer list. So I'll go here. So very cool. The substring did work. So we have 2 Havertz for 4K each. We have a couple Rudigers for 3600. One of these is actually bought for 850, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. And it doesn't look like we... It says 8 items. Oh yeah, there you go. And then down here, we do see 2 Ruger cards with shadows that got correctly moved to the transfer list. So that's awesome. So yeah, that's how the rules work. Hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please ask in the Discord. I'll have a link in the description. All right, thank you. Bye.